run, save your life. In Genesis chapter 19, verse 23, we read, the sun was rising when Lot reached Zoar. The sun was rising when Lot reached Zoar. A long night that at the very same time, was a very short one. If we could say something to Lot, a phrase, you could tell him something. Maybe we could say, Lot, watch for things that need to be done before the night is over. So, if we continue our reading in the same chapter 24 to 26, suddenly the Lord rained burning sulfur on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and destroyed them and the whole valley, along with all the people there and everything that grew on the land. But Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. Lot is a character in the Bible that went through something that you and I are subject each and every day of our lives. I'm talking about choices. I'm talking about decisions. If we use Lot as an example, it fits perfectly to our lives. In life, you can choose. In choosing, you might get it right, or you might get it wrong. But when you choose not to choose, then you already got it wrong. Because it is impossible to choose to not choose. But not choosing, you've made it the worst possible choice. In life, you can choose to do something the right way, or you can choose the wrong way. When you don't choose, you have already made a mistake. The hardest part in choosing is not choosing between something good or something bad. Because good things and bad things are already predetermined, they are already written, is spoken for, and experienced before we even made the choice. They are already written before we even born into this world. God had already spoken and determined what was good and what was bad. Knowing what is good and what is bad isn't the complicated part, because it's in the law. You want to know what is right? Check the God's law. You're going to find out right there what is wrong as well. Choosing between something good or bad is when a more complex level of decision making starts. I'm going to give you an example. Johnny have a decision to make. He have a test that he needs to write at school. He needs to make a decision if he's going to study for his tests or if you're going to play video game. Is this a hard decision? You think, wow, what can I do now? I'm going to play video game or I'm going to study? What do you think? This is a hard decision? No, of course it's not a hard decision, right? This is an easy one, right? And Johnny studied. He decided to study. And because Johnny decided to study, he was so comfortable during his test that he had no problem, and he passed everything, and now he was able to move on with his life. And now Johnny can choose studying in a university close to home, where he's going to stay home every day with his family. He can go to a university far away from home, but it's a better university. Or he can go to an even further university, but with a much better chance for him to have a better career. These are complicated ones. How this kid is going to decide? These are the complicated. Why this is complicated? Because he needs to choose between something that is good and something that is very good or better. These are the complicated ones. But Johnny, he could choose to play video game. And he played video game. Spent the whole weekend. Nice. And because he did that, what happened? He failed. Couldn't do nothing. And now Johnny have his school bulletin in his hand, thinking, how are you going to do with that? He can go and show that to his father. And his father is going to get pretty angry with him. Because his father spent so much money with him. And he's fell. He can also choose to cut the corner, not go to the father, and go to the mother. And say, Mom, look at this. But she also going to freak out and say, what is going on with you, kid? You think that is an easy choice to make it? No, this is a hard one. Because you're going to have to choose how you're going to suffer. What is the minimal suffer that you're going to take out of this decision, right? But both points, both situations leads to the same point. If you choose between something good and bad today, you might need to choose between something good and very good tomorrow. If you choose tomorrow between something very good, you're going to have to choose between very good and great the next day. If you go for something great the next day, you're going to have to choose between great and excellent the next day, and on and on. That's what it is, right? One characteristic for every good choice that is made is every time you choose for the good, your liberations will be amplified. This is a fundamental characteristic of a wisdom. The wise person will look at something and be able to decide what is good and what is bad. And what this person is going to do, because the wise person will always choose the good. Right? But on the contrary, we have to pay attention as well. Okay? If we choose between something bad today, you might need to choose between something bad and very bad the next day. And if you keep on going on this one, you're going to have to decide between something very bad and worse in the day after. And if you keep on going decide only for bad thing, the next one is worse and terrible. Which one are you going to take? Right? So we have to watch out, because when we choose for something that is bad, okay, we're not going to keep on going on this kind of life and get to a point where we're going to say, okay, now I'm going back. No, you're not going back. Because going to a point where the problem is so big, the hole is so deep, so you are so deep in a hole that somebody go and grab you and take you back, or you cannot come back by yourself. Somebody can choose between eating broccoli and get addicted to any kind of a substance. If he chooses to get addicted to any kind of substance, he's going to a point where he's going to be so far out, deep in that situation, he's not going to be able to say, okay, now I'm going back. No, you're not going back. Somebody go and take you out, or you're not going to be able to get out for yourself. Lot is a character in the Bible who had a choice to make. The choice was between something good and something bad. Will he stay or will he go? I am going to stay here in my environment of idolatry or follow Abraham? You think follow Abraham is a good thing, is a good choice? Yes, follow Abraham definitely is a good choice, right? And it was good, of course, to follow Abraham. But I want you to please pay attention to, because in another moment, he had to make another choice. And this choice was, I'm going to follow and go with Abraham, or I will stay by and follow the God of Abraham. You know why Lot was doing all these thinking, was having difficulty to decide about this? Because Lot is someone who has a characteristic. He is someone who knows Jesus. Wow. In the Bible, there is the God of Abraham. We all learn in the Bible about the God of Abraham. He's described as the God of Abraham. But there is no sentence, there is nothing in the Bible that referring us to the God of Lot. Nothing. Because Abraham knows God. Lot, up until this moment here, he was someone that knows God. We have to pay attention here, because in some point, this applies to each one of us. Because in some point in your life, whether it was already in the past, is now, or maybe in the future, we all have to take the same decision. We're going to be somebody that knows God, or somebody that knows God. We have to pay attention to these details, okay? Because we can be somebody here today that knows God, or we can be somebody here today amid those that don't know God yet. There is a story in the Bible about the servant and about the master. There is a servant, and that servant was so loyal to his master that he do everything is possible to double what the master gave for him to take care. There was another one that got less talent, but he worked with those talents the same way. But there was another servant that knew somebody that knew the master. See the difference here? In the Bible, we can also find about the virgins, right? There was a virgin that was completely ready, prepared, but there was another ones that they show up with a lamp, a little bit of oil, but not enough. And when the groom don't show up early and he delayed and come later, a crisis happened, and is not going to be funny, because some of them only know somebody that know the groom. They don't know the groom completely. But Lot only stands by. He's there. He's closed. He doesn't engage. Then Lot comes to a point in the story where he needs to choose between something good and something better. But he had already made the choice to be someone who knows Abraham. Lot lives by Abraham's purpose. He walks the path of Abraham, but he doesn't have his own calling. He doesn't have his own experience. He's benefiting from Abraham's experience with God, but doesn't have his own. God did not call upon you and me to live our lives telling the testimony of others. Telling people of a testimony that happened in another person's life. God did not call upon you to live your life by following and watching the spiritual experience of others. God has a plan of salvation for each one of us. He speaks to multitudes of people. And the Holy Spirit in some point is going to speak to individuals in the multitude. And the Holy Spirit is going to encourage and going to ask people to get out of the multitude. Because we can't be someone that knows God. Lot has a challenge. He had to make a decision. If you note, there is a bit of dynamic, it's a logistic on Lot's decision. If you follow with me over here, and chapter 13, verse 12, we can see Abraham stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot settled among the cities in the valley and camped near Sodom. They separate. They went apart from each other. We all know the story. They came from Egypt. Abraham became a wealthy man. So Lot. Came to a point where they couldn't stay together. They had so much stuff. No, we can't stay together. We're going to have to separate. And that's what they did. Lot could have separated him from Abraham, but he had the choice to not separate himself from Christ. Lot could have physically separated himself, but now he had a choice to make whether he would continue on with the God of Abraham or not. Yeah, look at us, right? Abraham stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot settled among the city in the valley and camped near Sodom. We have to pay attention to what is going on in this verse, right? Near Sodom. We have to be careful here, because probably when Lot and Abraham was there talking, so if you go this way, I go this way. If you go this way, I go the other way. And Lot started looking, wow, it's beautiful this side. I think I know which direction I'm going to take. Looking to the other side, he was greedy there, He could share a little bit, right? Why don't you go that side and go stay both together here and this here? No. I'll take all this. And that's what he did. How many of us, parents, never told our kids, don't go there? No, I'm not going there. I'm going close. Not going there. I'm going close. Because Abraham probably told Lot, oh, you're going there? Be careful, huh? It's beautiful, but Sodom is not there. Yeah, but Lot maybe told him, I'm not going to Sodom. I'm going to stay close to Sodom. Wow. Friends, as Christians, we have to stay away from sin. Have to stay away from sin and close to God. Okay? When we take care of ourselves, of our bodies, our minds, okay? We're going to feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. We're going to feel the power of God close to us. And then we can ask these questions that is here. When I stop doing this, what happened in this heart? When I stop doing this, what happened here? Because that's why we stop. When we choose for God, right? Sometimes we have to kick out a lot of things. Is that correct? Are you with me, huh? That's good. So we have to be very careful. When I start this, what happened there? When Lot went close to Sodom, just pay attention to this. When Lot went close to Sodom, he not only decided to live close to Sodom, but he didn't know what exactly he needs to get away from. At that time, Sodom was already famous to be a sin city, huh? He knew where he was. Lot knew about it. So he didn't know exactly what he needs to get away from. And Lot is there. He's close, okay? But look at here. He's close to Sodom. Near Sodom, what says there? 14:12. Lot, Abraham's nephew, was what is there? Living in Sodom. So they took him and all his possession. One chapter, friends, from live close to Sodom to now already living in Sodom. Okay? One chapter, and he is already there. Lot was living in Sodom because he went against the gravitational power of sin. He was betting on himself and against sin. And you know what happened? He lost. He lost because you can't overcome sin by yourself. You can't. God will overcome every sin in our lives. Sometimes we pray and ask God to give us strength. I'm going to tell you, we need to realize that aside from giving us strength, God gives us or make us conscious of our weaknesses. And He is the strength. We are broken vases, totally broke. And a broken vase, you know how it works. Have to stay constantly under the tap water. At the minute you move the vase, it's already empty. It can't stay outside of the tap water. It needs to stay there constantly. We are cracked. We are vases. We are cracked vases, right? A cracked vase cannot leave the fountain because it is cracked. It can retain water on its own. And we have to keep on going here because Lot stays around Sodom. And after one chapter, as we already read there, he is already living in Sodom. But what says here? In Genesis 19:1, when the two angels came to Sodom that evening, Lot was sitting at the city gate. And as soon as he saw them, he got up and went to meet them. He bowed down before them. But what I want you to pay attention is sitting at the city gate. And if we all know how the cities back then operate, what we call downtown today, back then was happened at the gate, the city gate, right? And the Bible is telling us that law was sitting there at the city gates. Okay? So if we pay attention here, we have to understand one thing. We all know some part of some city that is not a good place to stay around, especially in the night time. You know a place like that? Of course you guys know, right? So, and it's saying here that he was sitting in the night time. Can you imagine what was in front of his eyes? He had no problem, okay, to stay there. And he was looking about everything that was going around because he was sitting at the gate during that night time. But the story doesn't start with Lot in Sodom. It starts with him as someone who knows someone that knows Jesus. After he chooses to be someone who lives close to Sodom, and then he chooses to live in Sodom, and after he chooses to participate of Sodom. And now we come to a point where Lot was not only living in Sodom, but Sodom was living in his family. Right? Was living in his family. Wow. Lot was there, and he was seated at the gate. But if we keep looking here, what the Bible have for us, chapter 18, starting verse 1, the Lord appeared to Abraham, at the sacred trees of Mary, as Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the hottest part of the day. We've got to pay attention to this here. Lot was at the city gate in the night time, a bad time to be outside. Abraham, he noticed, and God sent angels to meet Abraham in the hottest part of the day, during the day, in his own house. Abraham was at home. He looked up and saw three men standing there. As soon as he saw them, he ran out to meet them, bowing down with his face touching the ground. He said, "Sir, please do not pass by my home without stopping. I am here to serve you. Let me bring some water for you and wash your feet. You can rest here beneath this tree. I will also bring a bit of food. It will give you strength to continue your journey. You have honored me by coming to my home, so let me serve you." And what they replied? "Thank you, we accepted." And there is another version that says, "Do as you said." I like that better. Do as you said. Yeah, he said, "Stay, do as you said." Right? Wow. We have here, but look at this. When the two angels came to Sodom that evening, Lot was sitting at the city gates. As soon as he saw them, he got up and went to meet them. He bowed down before them. This looked like somebody that knows God. He's doing everything that his friend did, right? And said, "Sir, I am here to serve you. Please come to my house. You can wash your feet and spend the night. In the morning, you can get up early and go your way." But here is a big difference of somebody that know God and somebody that know God. Because look what the angel said. No. Not entering your house. Please come. Spend the night with us. No. We spend the night here in the square city, the city square. It's a big difference here. Because when somebody knows God, he see God and he come, Master, please come, stay with me. I'm going to get you food. Please stay with us. I'm going to get you water to wash your feet. And he said, yes, not a problem. Do as you said, I will stay. And when you don't know God, he said, please come and stay. And the angels just say, no. I'm not spending any time with you. Then the person is caught because he's doing everything exactly the same the other did. But we can hide our feelings from God, right? The angels knew, and they said, no. Friends, pay attention to this. The first thing that happened in the story of Lot and the story of someone who knows someone that knows Christ is that there is an effect in their decisions. The angels say that they came to remove them from Sodom. Lot was impacted with this message. And because of that, he had his first test. He knew it was the angels, huh? He ran to them. And he had his first test. And look at this. Before the guests went to bed, the men of Sodom surrounded the house. All the men of the city, both young and old, were there. They called out to the Lord and asked, where are the men who came to stay with you tonight? Bring them out. The men of Sodom want to abuse them. And Lot, what he did? He went out, he closed the door after him, and he said, friends, you call them friends, I beg you, do not do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who are still virgins. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do whatever you want with them. But don't do anything to this man. They are guests in my house, and I must protect them. Can you imagine being Lot's daughter? Huh? Dad, are you crazy? That mob could kill those girls. Okay? Wow. It's an absurd what the men of Sodom said. Lot's response was even worse. Did you listen to that? It's an absurd what they propose. Lot's response, even worse. Lot was given a mundane response. The men of the world propose an abuse, and Lot proposed a different abuse. The man proposed a horrible sin, and Lot's thought process was to, yes, you can sin, but in a less horrible fashion. Right? He doesn't have the logic that you respond to sin with holiness and not with another sin. His response was in line with the Sodom way of living. He can't give a divine response to the sin because he's acting like a person living in Sodom. This is what happened when we leave God's side, when we let God stay away and begin to solve our own problems in a worldly manner. Mundane solutions, my friends, mundane solutions to mundane problems bring more problems. Lot was there. Lot was there. The angels, they solved the problem. We all know the story. That was not a problem for the angels. They took care of the situation easily. And we're going to read what says over here. The two men said to Lot, if you have anyone here, sons, daughters, sons-in-law, or many other relatives living in the city, get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The Lord has heard the terrible accusation against this people and has sent us to destroy Sodom. And pay attention to this now. Verse 14. Then Lot went to the man that his daughters were going to marry and said, hurry up and get out of here. The Lord is going to destroy this place. You read what is there. Huh? What you say? But they thought he was joking. They thought he was joking. When we decide for the world, we don't only lose the power to give the world a real answer, but we lose the power to tell the world that we are serious about something. Lot said a message that overall is correct, but the tone was incorrect. The messenger was incorrect, and the life of the messenger was seen to be incorrect. When the words, pay attention to this, when the words that come out of our mouth, though they might be words of life, if the tone of the voice does not come from having a communion with Christ, it can be heard and perceived as a lie. This was a choice that Lot made. His son-in-law said, you're telling us to leave Sodom? So funny here, man. Are you joking? You want us to leave? No. You might not. You're not telling us the truth. You're joking. You're a joker. Okay? You're a joker. So, but why? Why they didn't believe Lot? Did you ever ask yourself why? Why they didn't believe it? What they thought was a joke? Because they had already heard a bunch of jokes coming from Lot. Lot was telling jokes every day. And now it went with a serious message, and they thought it was a joke. Some things are funny in life, friends, but others aren't. A sin isn't anything to be joking or laughing about it. It can lead to someone's death. We can't play with this sort of things. It doesn't matter the kind of sin it might be, it cannot be a joke. It's a serious thing. Sin is a disgrace that happened to humanity. Lot gave his family a message of salvation, and the family took it as a joke. Because that was his life turned into. People didn't know and realize that he was being serious. Lot looked at his son-in-law and said, let's get out. Come. Let's go from here. Friends, this is the most cruel effect of being someone who knows someone that knows Christ. Because what happened with Lot and his family had a domino effect that is stopping his wife. Stopping his wife. Look at verse 26. But Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. But when I start reading over here, I said that the sun reason went Lot, read Zoar. We have to understand exactly what is going on here, okay? Because Lot, he spent the entire night to decide the obvious. The entire night. The angels came to Sodom in the evening, the night before, and was now in the morning when Lot took the road with his family to leave Sodom. And it was because of someone else that was interceding on his behalf that Lot was saved. While all of this was happening in Sodom, and you can imagine that was probably a lot of commotion happened there, right? Is the man's coming to Lot's door? Is the angels acting? Is Lot getting out of his house? Go speak to his son-in-laws. He's coming back. A lot of things happen. But while everything was happening in Sodom, Abraham was there. God save Lot. He was asking God to please save Lot. And the fact that Abraham knows God, Lot was saved. But listen to this. But the fact that Lot only knew Abraham didn't save anyone. Did you see this here? Did you see this thing here? I'm going to say it again because it's very important. The fact that Abraham knows God, Lot was saved. But the fact that Lot only knew Abraham, it didn't save anyone. Because if you are someone who knows someone that knows Christ, this is going to be very good for you. Because someone who knows Christ brings blessings to everybody. If you are in some place, some house, or anywhere, he brings blessings around him, which actually spreads out to others. But to follow Christ from far will always be very, very dangerous. You know why? Because that gap between you and God is going to be always occupied by worldly things. Always. Abraham was able to intercede and remove Lot from Sodom, but Lot lost everybody. When you decide for Jesus, the capacity to save yourself and your family is immense. We cannot follow Christ from afar. Many people are waiting for our decision. The entire night that Lot took to make a decision was fatal to him. Because when his wife looked back, she was still too close to Sodom. If Lot had decided sooner, they would have been much further and she would have been saved. You see the difference here? He took it too long to decide for the obvious. In life, you can choose. But when God says go and you don't go, you already got it wrong. God is telling you to go because it will be good for you, but if you wait and if you stay, there will be a cost to pay. There is a cost. There is a cost to pay. Okay? But there is something else in the text here. It's something else in the story that is very, very important, and I want you to look at it with me. at dawn, the angels tried to make Lot hurry. Quick, they said, take your wife and your 2 daughters and get out, so that you will not lose your lives when the city is destroyed. Lot hesitated. The Lord, however, had a pity on him. So the man took him, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand, and led them out of the city. And look at this, verse 17. Then one of the angels said, run for your lives. Don't look back. And don't stop in the valley. Run to the hills so that you won't be killed. The angel said, run. Don't look back. What a message we can get from the Word of God this morning. What a message. And this message never stopped being preached. Never. Never stopped being preached, and is being preached in our days. If there is something that we can all take away from this message today, is free yourself. Run. Don't look back. Don't look back. Run away from those worldly things and do not look back. I want to tell you, if you have at home maybe a video game that you need to grab it and throw through the window, do it. Maybe you have a TV that you are not in control yet of what to watch. And that TV is a problem in your life as a Christian. And you want to get rid of that. And it's another piece in your house that needs to go out. Do it. You're going to look around your house, your apartment. There might be something in your wallet, your closet, in a corner of your house somewhere. Something that you love very much, but watch out. And maybe you have to grab that and put in a bag and throw it away. Do it. We can't joke around with this type of things. We can joke. When we are talking about the value of our lives. If you are in a situation where your life might be at risk, you won't be looking back. Right? You won't. You run to get out of that situation. You run. And I don't know how many of you, what I like a lot is the firefighters. Huh? First of all, they come and you hear their horn from far away. You better get out. Right? So, and I hate when I see people that is... And then the firefighter truck have to get pretty close, and that is dangerous actually, because if that person is so lazy in the way they're going, with that big horn behind, they can make it worse. Step on the brake, you know what can happen, right? But anyways, I like firefighters. You know why? Because when they go to save somebody, they do everything is possible to save somebody. Yeah, if they get there, it's a house and in the flames. They're going to throw water in that house like a no tomorrow and going to wet the next house as well, both sides. And you know how there's a lot of water. They want to save people, and some of the firefighters is throwing water, some is going inside, through the smoke, through the fire to get people. They heard there is somebody inside, let's go find it. Yeah, maybe you are driving your car and you go to the ditch your car, and your car now have the wheels up. The firefighter is going to get there. You're not going to tell him, yeah, I think I broke bones here on the side, but take me out of here, but don't damage my car. No. He's going to come with those big scissors. He's going to cut the door of your car, everything, to throw it aside. They're going to grab you, and they're going to take you from there, because what matters is life. Forget about cars. Life is what they care. Right? They're going to save you. They're going to save you from there. I don't think it's different with God. I don't think it's different with God. What God really wants is to save our lives. Because He cares. He cares about us. He cares about us. And that is something very important in the text, because they say, run to the hills, to the mountains, so that you might not perish. I moved this slide like that? Oh yeah, I did. This message is for today. It's definitely for today. Okay? When I look at my Bible, I see Abraham. And God goes to Abraham and He said, Abraham, come here. I want you to go to the mountain. And right there at the mountain, I want you to offer everything. I want you to offer your family. I want you to offer everything. And you know what Abraham did? He went up in the mountain. And he offered everything. When I open my Bible, I see a group of people that God took out of Egypt. But to enter Canaan, they have to be Israel, can't be Egypt, can't be Egyptians. And God bring them to the mountain, and right there at the mountain, they understand the plan of God for their lives. You want to know what's the God's plan for your life? Look at the God's law. It's right there. God divided in 10, so you can all understand. It's right there what is wrong and what is right. There are maybe people who feel bad and weak. People who need to know what forgiveness is. I'd like to ask you to maybe go to another mountain. Maybe you want to go to the mountain of Calvary. And you're going to see the size of forgiveness for each one of us. While you're there, at the Calvary, at the mountain, maybe you're going to see a cross. Maybe you're going to feel like, get close. And now you feel like you want to embrace the cross. Do it. Do it. Oh, but there is some blood coming down. Don't bother with that. That was the blood of salvation. That blood was the only blood to give us hope. To give us hope. Okay? Friends, there is a people that look around and they only see COVID. They only see the pandemic. People, they only see corruption. And this is all things very close to us, I know that. But some people only see this type of things in the world that we live in today. They only see bad people and bad things happen. And they think that's it. We're condemned to live in this type of world with all these things, and they think that's all. I'm here this morning to tell you that that is not all. That is not all. We have a hope of much better things that's going to happen with each one of us, and we believe that's going to be soon. Soon. We believe that's going to be soon. I'm going to tell you, I don't know what your need is. We all have needs in life. I know what my need is. To tell you the truth, sometimes I even think that I'm too close to Sodom. Okay? So you probably already had these feelings before as well. Too close to Sodom. We got to watch out. We have to watch out to this kind of things. Okay? But while all these things happen with us, while you're living here in the world, we have Jesus telling us, and I'm closing, we have Jesus telling each one of us, run. Save your lives. And don't look back before the night is over. Friends, we have to run and don't look back. And I want to close with one more thing. And may each one of us, as we go, may each one that sees us, they may see us as somebody that know God. Okay? And may God bless each one of you tremendously on this beautiful Sabbath day. Amen.